Travis Kelce. For you guys who just so happen to pick Kelce, if you don't have a backup tight end, some good options out there for you to go with. Yo, welcome to PPTV, and it's your boy, the Black Mamba. It's early morning, September the 7th, episode number 4, and it's like Christmas Eve. Season starts in just a few hours. I don't know about you guys, but like the first night of NFL football, I'm always excited for the season to see who has the best team, who's going to be the MVP, which team is going to surprise some people, which team is going to be the team that we thought was going to be good and they turn out to be duds. So it's just a whole lot in the air, and I'm excited about it. A few housekeeping rules before we get started. I need for you guys to spike that like button and subscribe. And know that this is for entertainment purposes only. I don't need for you out there wagering your rent money, car notes, entertainment fund money. This is entertainment purposes only. But know that we're going to dominate and we're going to be great all throughout this football season. So let's get ready. So tonight, I had my last draft of the season before kickoff. It's my third fantasy football league, and I think I did okay. It was my third draft, so I was kind of in the flow of things. I kind of knew who I would get and when I would get them. I figured it would be pretty much the same team, or a lot of common players on this team that I have in the previous two drafts that I did. So I was pretty satisfied. And as you see, if you've been following any of my videos, a lot of the players that I have, or some of the players that I have, are common players from previous drafts. So let's jump right into it, and let me show you guys what happened and my thought process as I was going through this draft, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on it as well. So this league, it's a PPR league. I think it's 0.5 PPR. That means that for every reception, there's a point. Some leagues there is non-PPR. So this is a hometown league that I've been playing in for about 5 or 6 years. So it's a 10-team league this year, and I had the unfortunate luck of being the number 5 pick. At number 5, I really was kind of like in limbo of who I would get, because I knew Jamar Chase, and I knew that Justin Jefferson would be off the board by the time it was my pick. I kind of had an idea Tyreek Hill would be off the board. So that left me with a running back to pick up. And the two running backs that I would look at, or were looking at in the first round, number 1 was Austin Ekeler. He's the number 1 running back on my board. So I was looking at him, and also Bijan Robinson and Saquon Barkley. Those were the 3. So I knew out of the 3 that at number 5 I probably would be able to get Austin Ekeler, which I did. So that was my number 1 pick. So after the first round, everything is kind of going like I thought it would. Stephon Diggs, he goes, and then Christian McCaffrey, the normal suspects in the first round. In the second round, I was hoping Saquon would somehow, some way come back to me, but I know that it was going to be a slim chance that I would get him. So it was between Saquon, and I had A.J. Brown on my list as well. I was able to get A.J. in the second round, and I'm really happy about that. I think AJ may be on all three of my teams. I'm not 100% sure. I think I know he's on 2 out of 3. He may be on all 3, if I'm not mistaken. And for you guys who have Travis Kelce, it's kind of unfortunate that I think he's going to be out tomorrow. I don't know if they've really said whether or not he's going to play. But at the end, later on, I'll give you guys a few players that I would pick up if you just happen to have him on your team, that I would pick up until he's able to come back and get on the field. AJ was my second round pick. I was satisfied with that pick. So far, everything is pretty much going according to plan in this draft. Few players that are going a little high or a little higher than I would draft them, such as Aaron Jones, Ramondre Stevenson here. I don't know if I would have drafted those guys in the second round, especially in this 10-team league. That's the thing about these 10-team leagues. You're going to always be able to put together a pretty decent team simply because there's a lot of players that are going to be left over on the waiver wire that you'll be able to go and pick up. So you just basically have to target certain players and just go for them. And if you just happen to miss, the good thing is you're going to be able to go out to the waiver wire and pick those players up because each team can only hold so many players. I kind of like the 12-team strategy, but 10-team it makes it a little bit more competitive. You're always going to have like 4 or 5 teams that are pretty top heavy and really do good during the season. So we'll see how this season goes as far as how many teams are going to be really good this year. So moving to the third round, I was somewhat looking at Garrett Wilson. I'm kind of intrigued with him and Aaron Rodgers playing together this year. And I was saying that if it was between him and T. Higgins, I would have went with Garrett. As you see, Garrett went a couple of picks before me. Actually, Josh Allen, he went right before. I was actually thinking about him too. He was the first quarterback to go. He was out there for what I feel a pretty long time, being that no quarterbacks had went off the board. That would have been good value if I could have sniped him. But both of those guys went before it was my pick. So T. Higgins was my next pick in the fourth round. Really satisfied with T. Higgins. I'm really high on the Cincinnati Bengals offense this year. I think they're going to be a high-powered offense. I think T. Higgins is definitely going to be a number one-ish type wide receiver that puts up number one numbers. So I was really happy with him, being able to get him in the fourth round. And my fourth round pick was Joe Mixon. I really didn't have Joe on my radar, and sometimes I kind of have this thing about picking players that are on the same team. But last year I actually had Joe Mixon and T. Higgins and Joe Burrow on the same team, and they did really well. It was most of the time it was boom, but it was either boom or bust with those guys. But last year they performed very well. It's like if they're all scoring touchdowns, you kind of like double dipping because you're getting the running. You know you're gonna the points are gonna come from one of the three positions most times. You're either gonna have the running back, the receiver, or the quarterback is throwing it, and it's especially good if the quarterback is throwing it to the receiver or the running back. So Joe Mixon was my fifth round pick. And right now my team is starting to round out pretty good. And in the sixth round, is it the sixth round? Oh, this is round 5. I'm sorry. So I've been a round ahead. So this is round 5. So in round 5, I was able to pick up Kenneth Walker. I probably made a mistake in this round, thinking back on it, and you'll see why I say I made a mistake here in a few minutes. Oh, it's this round. So, yeah. So I picked Kenneth Walker in this round. This is a snake draft, so he was picked a couple of picks before it was time for me to pick, like 5 picks. I actually should have went ahead and got Darren in the round before. And if you've been watching my videos, you know that Darren Waller is a guy that I try to get at any cost, and I'm a little bummed that I didn't get him this draft, but I sort of had a backup plan in case I did not get him in this draft. So I really wish I had a kind of been on my P's and Q's and looking to get him a round sooner than I actually was thinking here in this round. But with Kenneth Walker, that makes my backfield pretty solid. I got 3 number 1 running backs. This is a flex league as well. So in a flex league, you're basically able to start your 2 running backs as well as a running back or a wide receiver at a flex position. I actually think this league has 2 flex positions, so I'll be able to start all 3 of those running backs every week if I choose to. So rolling around to round 6, I was able to pick up Trevor Lawrence. I had Trevor on my radar. My top 4 quarterbacks were Trevor Lawrence, Jalen Hurts, Justin Herbert, or Joe Burrow. So as long as I got one of those 4 guys, with Trevor being my number 4, I was pretty happy with that. So I decided to go ahead and get him to round out, because my lineup is actually starting to look pretty good as far as the starting lineup is concerned. So I wanted to go ahead and get my quarterback, and since I missed out on my tight end, so Trevor I think he's going to be a solid pick this year, and I'm excited to see what that offense does, seeing if they make a step in the right direction again this year. He actually made some strides last year from the first year he was in the league. So going to round 7, at this point I'm just kind of picking what I feel is the best player on the board. J.K. Dobbins was that guy in this round. He offers a lot of value, and I think on my ranking list he's top 15 running back. So I figured, like, I got a stable of running backs if they pan out to be what I think they're going to be from my rankings. So JK was my round 7 pick. In round 8, I was kind of light on receivers. So Tyler Lockett was the next best receiver out there. So I decided to go ahead and kind of stash him. Hopefully I don't need him based on my lineup, because I have studs at running back, and my receivers are pretty solid. So unless it's a bye week or he just really starts to be a hot commodity, I don't plan to play Tyler as much. But it's always good to have a good stash on your bench. So Tyler was my seventh round or my 8th round pick. So going to round 9, since I missed out on Darren Waller, I felt like David Njoku was a nice pickup for me. I think Cleveland, he was using the offense. His usage rate last year was pretty good. So I think that this year, I think that he'll be hopefully used a little bit more. And if Deshaun Watson can up his game a little bit, I like this combo. So I decided that I would do a tight end by committee with him, and you'll see my next tight end pick here in a few minutes. So at this point, I'm just basically picking players that are the highest pick or the best value on the board for me. So I went ahead and picked up Deshaun Watson since I only have one quarterback. And again, I'll do the quarterback by committee with Deshaun and Trevor Lawrence. And then round 11, I had to get a little Steeler Nation in the mix. So I went with Pat Freiermuth. And between Pat and Njoku, I think that my tight end position is pretty solid. So he was a good pick at this point in the draft. So I went ahead and went with Pat. And at this point, I'm just kind of rounding out my team. And Baltimore was still on the board. I was kind of surprised about that. All the other defenses that were going before them. Even if I do a defense by committee, which that's what I do most years, they have a great matchup the first week of the year with with Houston. So Baltimore is playing Houston Texans. I hope that they can put a lot of pressure on C.J. Stroud and maybe get a lot of turnovers in that game. So we'll see how they do throughout the year. But yeah, defenses are normally like a committee for me, and I just play the matchups week by week. So as we're getting close to the end here, this guy was still on the board as well, Evan McPherson. So I normally wait until the last. My philosophy is the kicker and the defense are normally my last two picks, but this year I kind of wanted to shake it up and do a little something different. If it was a best available out there, I would go ahead and get him. So I felt like he's the best at his position, so he was available. So I went ahead and picked him up in the 13th round. And in round 14, just trying to get a little bit more backup, making sure I got a pretty solid and deep bench for each position. So I picked up another quarterback, Daniel Jones, in this round. And 15 and 16 in the 15th round, I went ahead and picked up another defense, the Miami Dolphins. I think they are going to be pretty good this year. So we'll see. I'm not starting them in the first week, but if they are, I know they added the cornerback from the Rams, so I wanted to see how good they're going to be this year. So my last pick, if you've seen my very first draft that I did, Mr. Irrelevant, at least the second draft is Samaje Perine. I got him as a running back 3 or 4. So just in case, I know Javonte Williams is not 100%. So just in case something happens, I wanted to pick up Samaje. And being that they're well coached, I hope he'll get a little bit of run this year, get a little burn. So that was my draft. Again, I'm pretty satisfied with my team. Only player that I really wanted I didn't get was Darren Waller. As you can see, I kind of skipped out from picking him up, but overall my team is pretty solid. These 10-team leagues, they can be, like I say, they can be kind of deceiving. You'll have three or four teams, or maybe up to 5 teams that are pretty good every week. So hopefully my team is one of those teams that falls in the mix. So with that said, I know I had mentioned earlier about Travis Kelce. For you guys who just so happen to pick Kelce, if you don't have a backup tight end, some good options out there for you to go with. Let's just look here and see. So of course you can get his backup, Noah Gray. But if you wanted to go with a little bit more upside, Hayden Hurst, he would probably be my first pick to replace. And Jawan Johnson, I'm sorry. I would also go with him before Noah. And these are just my thoughts. do as you will. But those would be two players. If he's going to be out for an extended time, those would be two players I would definitely look and see if they're on the waiver wire in my league. Especially Hayden Hurst with the rookie quarterback. Most times when there's a rookie quarterback, they're doing a lot of checkdowns to the tight end. So just my 2 cents. And that's my draft, guys. Please check back tomorrow and Friday. I plan to have some bonus nuggets for you guys who like to partake in friendly wagering and you have survivor pick leagues. Check back with me. I'll have some. I like to do those leagues as well, so I can kind of give you what my picks are for the week, and you tell me what you think about those. Don't forget to comment, subscribe, and hit that like button. Black Mamba out.